This year marks the 30th anniversary of the great slasher flick of the 90s, that is Scream. And we had gotten numerous sequels, and just more recently, we got a new installment in Scream 7, now available to stream on Paramount Plus. Don't worry, it will be coming to physical media in a couple of weeks. But is this new installment of the franchise really that bad? Is it really as bad as the critics say? Or am I going to have to put a few scares into them and tell them that they shouldn't be worried about this, even though despite some controversies over a few things? Find out in this spoiler free review right now. This is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome again to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. I'm the Big D, and this time around, I bring to you a spoiler free review of the 2026 slasher flick Scream 7, released by Paramount along with Spyglass Media Group, directed by Kevin Williamson, based on the characters he created, and also co wrote the screenplay with Guy Busick from the story Busick wrote with James Vanderbilt. Now, this film is the seventh installment of the Scream series and sequel to Scream 6. Neve Campbell returns after being absent from the previous film. Plus, we get Jasmin Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding return, and Courteney Cox as well. Plus, special appearances from others' faces we've seen. Plus, new additions including Isabel May, Anna Camp, Michelle Randolph, Jimmy Tatro, Mckenna Grace, Asa Germann, Celeste O Connor, Sam Rechner, Mark Consuelos, Tim Simons, and Joel McHale. The film follows Sidney Prescott, now under a different last name, whose daughter Tam, named after her friend who was killed in the first film, is targeted by a new Ghostface killer. The film was released on February 27th of this year, just 2 days after it made its premiere at the Paramount Pictures lot. This film unfortunately got hated on, in my view, but however, went on to become the most successful film in the franchise. Well, maybe not. Well, in other words, let me rephrase that. Highest grossing film in the franchise. And the second highest grossing slasher film in unadjusted dollars. Now, if you would like, you can check out my reviews for the other Scream films by clicking on that card. Where you can check out my spoiler-free reviews of the other two films. I may do spoiler reviews on those later on, okay? But just to play it safe, watch them, and I will be updating my Scream, my first 4 reviews of Scream with 1 through 4 with with pictures, okay? I've decided not to do revisit reviews though, since this year is going to mark the 30th anniversary of the original. Now, of course, with my spoiler-free reviews, of course, I'm only going to give you a little bit of the story. In Woodsboro, Stab franchise fan Scott and his girlfriend Madison visit Stu Mocker's house after hearing rumors that he might have survived having a television dropped on his head. But they encounter Ghostface, who kills them and sets the house on fire. In Pine Grove, Indiana, Sidney Prescott, who is now under the name Sydney Evans, has built a new life for herself. She's married to police chief Mark Evans, runs a coffee house, and raises her children, including her teenage daughter Tam, named after her late best friend Tam Riley. Sydney receives a call from Ghostface, who requests a video call and reveals himself as an aged and scarred Stu. He announces he is going after Tam and is outside the theater where she is rehearsing. But Sydney arrives with the police as Ghostface flees after killing her two of her friends, Hannah and Aaron. But soon, Ghostface emerges from Sydney's attic later in the night and knocks Mark unconscious. Sydney takes him to a safe room to evade the Ghostface killer and uses the room's alternate exit to leave the house, but Ghostface chases them was fatally run over by Gail Weathers and her assistants Mindy and Chad Meeks Martin. Well, once unmasked, Cindy recognizes the killer as Carl Gibbs, a murderer who escaped from a nearby mental institution and bought coffee from her earlier. Cindy visits the institution, where Supervisor Marco Davis recognizes Stu as a recently released John Doe that had no memory from before he was in Woodsboro and lived in the room next to Carl. Well, that may be, but that's not who we're getting to see, because there's more Ghostface appears. But I'm not telling you that. They'll ruin everything else. So if you want to know what happens then when they encounter another Ghostface, then you must watch the movie. Now, for my thoughts on Scream 7, I am going to say it's not as bad as the critics say. No, 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 no. Now, sure, it did have some controversies following Melissa Barrera's firing in November 2023 from the film's production due to her pro Palestinian comments and what have you. And that was understandable. And well, yeah, but that was just whoa. But if that was enough, ahead of the film's release, Paramount and Spyglass filed a lawsuit against Alterian Ghost Factory, who had threatened to initiate litigation over rights to the Ghostface mask after claiming ownership of it. Last month, Paramount and Alterian resolved their dispute and dismissed their lawsuits against each other. Now, nonetheless, I will say that I understand why we don't see Miss Barrera in the film and what have you, nor do we even get to see some, well, nor do we see Jenna Ortega either. Yeah, that was kind of a bit of a disappointment and what have you. Now, another thing is, I'm just gonna say, the film's fine, what have you, but, well, maybe not as best. Again, not as bad as they say it is. It is kind of a mixed bag though, but I kind of have it close a little bit more higher to mix to good and what have you, you know. But the reviews were completely terrible. The film sits at 31% on Rotten Tomatoes, which that's even lower than 2000 Scream 3. Which of course which is my least favorite of the franchise. According to them, they say less a return to Scream's roots than a disappointing creative regression. This seventh entry draws little blood with its dull knife of a script. Well, the story does have a few flaws and what have you, but nevertheless, I found the film to be fine, what have you. Metacritic has a score 35, where of the overall percentage of how high it was mixed with 52%. And only a mere 7% were positive, and 40% was negative. Audience poll by CinemaScore gave this a B minus, making this in a draw with Scream 4 for the lowest score of the series. While 61% of those surveyed by Post Tracks they would definitely recommend it. Brian Tallarico of RogerEbert.com wrote, every aspect of the film feels rushed and shallow. It's visually atrocious, suffering from the low-lying choice that afflicts so many modern movies, and it's cut together with halting, stilted rhythms. Well, that may be. And I realized people weren't too thrilled when they saw that Kevin Williamson, the guy who created the franchise, was on board, was, well, on board with the directing and what have you. Yes. But anyway, yeah. So, with everything said, it just kind of fell through. But But I wouldn't say Williamson did that bad of a job. I mean, he did decent enough. Now, for decent reviews, The Guardian's Benjamin Lee gave this 3 out of 5 stars and called it a scrappy, passably entertaining new chapter that limps to the screen with wounds on show. True. The Rap's William Bibiani wrote, "It's not that the film is a bad Scream movie. There are no bad Scream movies yet. Even the worst one is kind of alright. And this is the worst one. It just never seems like there was a story that needed to be told, or a point that needed to be made. There's hardly even a horror trend to explore, let alone explode." Well, that may be, but again, I'm gonna say that I do like it for some of its atmosphere and what have you, and some of its kills and what have you. Despite the negative reviews, the film went on to become the highest grossing film of the franchise to this day, going on to make $214 million worldwide on its $45 million budget. The music for the film was Marco Beltrami, returning after not doing the last two films, since he did the scores for the first four Scream films. Anyway, yes. The soundtrack has some pretty good, and score has some good tunes. There's even some pretty cool new original songs made for this, including the song Twisting the Knife by the band Ice Nine Kills, which features Mckenna Grace, who appears in this movie, by the way, which I'll get to that in just a moment for some of the cast. Now, for the cast, we have Neve Campbell reprising her role as Sydney, now Sydney Evans. I'm gonna say she still gives a pretty good performance, though. She proves she still got lots of spunk in her. Well, don't mind me saying it, but I think the real spunky one is Tam Evans, played by Isabel May. Yes, I must say she's absolutely really good. Of course, most people might remember her from the Netflix series Alexa and Katie, as well as Paramount Plus's 1883, and the narrator for 1923. Yes, I gotta say, she's very good in her performance. Now we have Jasmin Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding returning as Mindy Meeks Martin and Chad Meeks Martin, which of course they're both twins, sister and brother. Randy Meeks' nephew and niece. It was good to have them back and what have you. That was really good and what have you. Now we have Anna Camp on board, who you would remember from HBO's vampire drama series True Blood, as well as the Pitch Perfect series. She plays the character of Jessica Bowden, Sydney's neighbor and Lucas's mother. Who's Lucas? I'll get him once I found him. Yeah, okay. Lucas, played by Asa Germann, who Tam's friend who was obsessed with the Woodsboro killings. Now he is best known for providing the thing his portrayal of Sam on Amazon Prime Video's Gen V. He also recently appeared in an episode of The Boys. Now let's see. Now then we have Jimmy Tatro as Scott, a fan of the Stab series, and Michelle Randolph plays his girlfriend Madison. Yeah, they were both pretty good when we saw them in the intro. Now Hannah, one of Tim's best friend, who is starring in a school play, she gets probably one of the most gruesomest kills I've seen in a Scream movie to this day. Of course, you might remember Grace from The Young and the Restless and Crash and Bernstein. Of course, she has done numerous other films and what have you. She's been I, Tonya, Captain Marvel, and several other films. So, yeah, I liked her performance, even though it was cut short, no pun intended. Let's see, and Celeste O'Connor as Chloe Parker, one of Tatum's best friends whose parents own a tavern. Pretty good. There's Sam Rechner as Ben Brown, Tatum's boyfriend, who Sydney distrusts. Eden Embry played Marco Davis, a supervisor at a mental institution. Tim Simons as George Willis, the drama teacher at Pine Grove High. Mark Consuelos as Robbie Rivers, a television host. And Joel McHale as Sydney's husband, Mark Evans. It was pretty cool to see him in a Scream movie. And then, of course, we have Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers again. Yes, the only person who's been in every Scream movie so far. Definitely. You can't go wrong with having her. Oh, and of course, we have Ghostface, who is once again voiced by Roger L. Jackson. Yes. And you will get to see special cameo appearances by, well, other defunct players from previous Scream films, aside from Matthew Lillard as Stu. But I'm not really going to spill the beans on that. I'll just leave that for you to see for yourself, okay? I'm going to keep that hush hush in case you haven't watched it. But if you have seen the film, then congratulations. So overall, while Scream 7 may have its issues, well, oh wait a minute. Wait, there was one more issue I do have with this film, and it's the ending and it's the revealing of the Ghostface killers. This was something I didn't see coming, but I will not tell you that either. No, I'm keeping that hush hush. Don't want to be a loose lips. But anyway, yeah, revealing the Ghostface in the end, well, this was kind of a shock to me, and I just didn't feel too thrilled with that. I was just like, whoa, didn't see that coming. I'm serious, I didn't. But anyway, despite its issues and what have you, now there might be others I'm missing. If I did miss pointing out a flaw in this, then I apologize. But overall, I thought Scream 7 was that bad. It's not as good as the last one, nor the fifth one either. But I'm gonna say this one still provides a little bit of a good Scream film feel to it. So if you are a hardcore completionist, I would recommend you give this a one-time watch. The film just came to Paramount Plus last week. It will be coming to physical media in a couple weeks on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K Ultra HD. While I did like some of the kills and what have you, Marco Beltrami's score was good. Kevin Williamson did a decent job on the direction, and it does have pretty good performances like from Neve Campbell, Isabel May, Jasmin Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, and Mckenna Grace, Asa Germann, Courteney Cox, of course, Joel McHale, and others. This was fine and what have you. Maybe not great by any means, but it's fine. I found it to be pretty enjoyable. Now, of course, there is going to be an 8th film reportedly in development. Just a month after the film was released, it was announced that Lila Zuckerman and Nora Zuckerman would be paying the script for this, with the film being confirmed to already be in development through Paramount Spyglass. So anyway, that's about it. That's all I'm going to tell you about this film. For my score, I'm going to give. Well, this is now going to be the longest spoiler-free review I've given to you. For my score, I give Scream 7 4 stars. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it an 8. So what did you think of Scream 7? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, and you know the rest. Join me next time when I bring to you my next Do You Remember on The New Adventures of He-Man. Please stand by. Now, if you like this, you can check out my spoiler-free reviews of these recent horror sequels. In the upper left-hand corner, check out my spoiler-free review of The Black Phone 2 from last year. Or go to the upper right-hand corner and see my spoiler-free review of the recent new installment of the Conjuring franchise, The Conjuring Last Rites. Or if you'd like something else that might be a different type of horror, may I say body horror, check out my spoiler-free review of Neon's recent hit Together. In the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.